I'd like to call this meeting to order. Clerk, please read the statement.
This is a meeting of the Township of Vernon for Monday, May 12, 2014. Adequate notice of this regular meeting was provided by the public to the public and the press on January 8, 2014, and was posted at the municipal building, all in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-6. Councilmember Kadish.
Here.
Councilmember Murphy.
Here.
Councilmember Rizzuto.
Here.
Councilmember Wetzel.
Here.
Council President Lynch.
Here. Please join me with a salute to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Tonight we have a few proclamations. We're going to have to move these around just a little bit until proper people come. First, I would like to read the Buddy Poppy Month for the proclamation for the VFW. The Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States in 1922 was the first veteran organization to promote a nationally organized campaign for the annual distribution of poppies. The poppies are assembled by disabled veterans and are distributed by the local Walker Valley VFW Post 8441 for a donation. Those funds are used to assist needy veterans, soldiers returning from war, as well as widows and families. Would Dennis Howard and the members of the VFW please come forward? Mr. Mayor, you join me?
Certainly.
Whereas the annual distribution of Buddy Poppies by the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States have been officially recognized and endorsed by the governmental leaders since 1922. And whereas Buddy Poppies are assembled by disabled veterans, and the proceeds of this worthy fundraising campaign are used exclusively for the benefit of disabled and needy veterans and the widows and orphans of deceased war veterans. And whereas the purpose of the sale of Buddy Poppies by the Veterans of Foreign Wars is eloquently reflected in a desire to honor the dead by helping the living. The 2014 Buddy Poppy Drive is being held during the month of May. Whereas the Walkill Valley VFW 841-8441 and its latest auxiliary promote the sale of the Buddy Poppy throughout the township, and whereas we urge all patriotic citizens to wear a Buddy Poppy as a symbol of the gratitude to the men and the women of this country who have risked their lives in defense of the freedoms which we continue to enjoy as American citizens. Now therefore, I, Brian Lynch, and Mayor Vic Murata, and the Vernon Township Council do hereby proclaim that May 2014 is Buddy Poppy Month in Vernon Township. We hereby urge the citizens of this community to recognize the merits of this cause by contributing generously to this invaluable program. Given under my hand in these free United States, in the Township of Vernon, State of New Jersey, on the 12th day of May 2014, and to which I have caused the seal of the Township of Vernon to be affixed and have made this proclamation public. Thank you so very much for your service to our country and for your continued service with the sale of the Buddy Poppies. I think that there hasn't been a Memorial Day go by where somebody hasn't had one, and usually they wind up on your rearview mirror on their car after the month is over.
This town has always been very generous.
What did I say to you, Vernon?
Well, thank you very much.
Mr. Lynch, thank you very much.
Come on in here, we'll get,
Yeah, that's in the middle.
Brian and I will look at it.
Thank you.
Thanks again, guys.
Have a good night, fellas. Thank you.
You know what I like to do? I'm gonna make a quick round.
Go right ahead. Please. All right, folks, dig deep. They need your help.
These are really free.
Okay, I know that
Help them out. Let's go, guys.
I'm aware that we did not call for the police to be here for any other reason than a proclamation.
Check the button.
Kevin's got it guarded right now with his
Okay.
gangly leg. In 1962, President John F. Kennedy declared May 15th Police Officers Memorial Day and the remaining week as Police Week to give residents a chance to thank their police forces for the hard work that they do in protecting and serving the public. Will Chief Randy Mills please come forward? Mayor, would you please join me again? Sure.
You want to invite the other?
Yes, and the other police officers as well. Captain Moran?
Patrolman Russo, Patrolman Canaris.
Thank you. Thank you.
Whereas the Congress and the President of the United States has designated the week May 11, 2014 through May 17, 2014 as National Police Week. And whereas the members of the Township of the Vernon Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the Township of Vernon, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency, and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the men and women of the Township Police Department increasingly provide a vital service, unceasingly provide a vital service. Now, therefore, I, Brian Lynch, and Mayor Vic Murata, and the entire Vernon Township Council, do hereby proclaim that May 11, 2014 through May 17, 2014 is designated as Police Week in the Township of Vernon, and call upon all citizens and patriotic, civic, and educational organizations to observe this week with appropriate ceremonies and observances in which all of our community may join in commemorating law enforcement officers, past and present, who, by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities, have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in so doing, have established for themselves an inviolable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. Given under my hand in these free United States in the Township of Vernon, State of New Jersey, on this 12th day of May, 2014, and to which I have caused the seal of the Township of Vernon to be affixed, and have made this proclamation public. I just want to say, Chief, that I'm so very thankful for the job that you and all your officers do in Vernon Township. Quite quickly, we've been able to wrap up some things that have caused a stir in Vernon Township, like the recent robbery up at the marketplace and all other issues that seem to come are getting taken care of in quite quick order. And we all appreciate your work. Thank you so much. I don't promise you. Do I have to pretend like we're welcome back? Yep. In the front.
1, 2, 3.
Lots of beeping, but no pictures.
No, it's good. Good? Yeah.
What? I didn't watch that. Yes.
Okay, that's number 2. Okay, we have one more, and this is for alcohol and awareness. In April, the Vernon Coalition came before us and hosted a drug-free seminar here at the town hall meeting, town council meeting. And at Glen Meadow School to promote Alcohol Awareness Month and their public service announcement contest winners. This is me. It's great to be alcohol-free. The contest, including making posters and various other mediums to get across to the public service message, Vernon would like to honor our winners for this countywide contest. Would Anne Marie Schaefer, Claire Schlesinger, Justin Shea, and Cynthia Snyder please come forward? Best looking group yet. You're gonna get a speed ticket now, that's for sure. Okay. Whereas April was Alcohol Awareness Month, and whereas the Vernon Coalition, in an effort to raise awareness about alcohol abuse among teens, held a public service announcement contest. Whereas students who took the opportunity to participate in this contest shared their positive message with the community and represent the majority of the county youth who choose not to drink. Whereas the council of the Township of Vernon wishes to commend the more than 250 entrants from the 14 schools countywide for making healthy choices and being positive role models. Whereas winners and honorable mentions were chosen from many wonderful entries that encourage youth to make healthy choices and abstain from underage drinking, with the message clearly shared by all entries. This is me. It's great to be alcohol-free. Whereas the Township of Vernon would like to recognize the Township's local PSA winners. Now therefore, I, Brian Lynch, and Mayor Vic Morata, and the entire Vernon Township Council do hereby recognize Claire Schlesinger. Please raise your hand. There you go. Justin Shea, Cynthia Snyder, and for their outstanding efforts in This Is Me, It's Great to Be Alcohol-Free 2014 PSA contest, given under my hand in these free United States in the Township of Vernon, State of New Jersey, on this 12th day of May 2014, and to which I have caused the seal the Township of Vernon to be affixed, and have made this proclamation public. Thank you so much. Let's see what you have. Very good.
We can leave these for display, too.
Sure, absolutely.
Out in the hall.
Anne Marie, thank you so very much for leading this effort.
And Gemma Chalkley also.
Thank you so very much for leading this effort.
Thank you for recognizing.
Yes, I do. Here you go. One for each of you. Thank you for doing what you do so well.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
Thank you, Justin.
Nice job. Oh, you want more?
That's what we do.
There you go. And one more.
Thank you very much.
Nice job. Congratulations, people.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Nice job.
All right. Can we have a motion to open the meeting to the floor to public comments?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilmember Wetzel. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Kadesh. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The floor is open.
Good evening, Jesse Palladini, Sunset Ridge. I was a news reporter for 18 years, a columnist for about 5 or 6 years, and during that time, I was a college professor of media studies for 5 or 6 years. There used to be a day and age when you could come to a council meeting and get up the next morning and read in the newspaper exactly what happened at the meeting the night before. It seems that that day is long gone. Breaking news today is who hit the panic button in error or intentional, or specific descriptions of the kind of cake that was served, what kind of icing, what did it cost, and whatever, for council members' birthdays. And that's really a sad thing. I don't really leave my home and my busy schedule to come to these meetings because it's the most fun I've had in a long time. But I come because I want to know what's going on in my town, because I can't rely on reading about it in the newspaper. And this only came to me shortly earlier today, this afternoon. But at the last meeting, we had a report by our mayor, who, you know, some people call me the #1 cheerleader for the mayor, or some ridiculous debasing comment like that. But he gave a report, and I was sitting with Doreen Edwards, and there was another gentleman sitting a few seats away from me, whom I don't know. And he gave a report, and Doreen turned to me and she said, "Wow." She said, "That's fantastic." And the gentleman who sat a few seats away from me said the same thing, something similar. Now, I've been attending meetings since 1986. I have a folder probably this thick on municipal budgets. And the mayor reported that this was the 3rd year in a row of a tax decrease. Prior to this administration, there has been tax increases for maybe 20 years that I remember. Staggering debt, failed town centers, surplus dwindling to almost zero. And he gave a report that night, and he talked about the tax decrease for the 3rd year in a row. He talked about an increase in surplus money. He talked about the debt being paid down, $4 million. He talked about a number of other things I happen to know, a number of things that this administration has been doing. And yet, not one word in any publication the next day or that whole week. So what I'm here to say to you is that the public at large is not hearing about the things that this governing body is doing. And you got to come up with a way of letting them know. Because the people who are constantly criticizing and complaining about everything, when in my opinion there's nothing to complain about to begin with, they're getting headlines all the time. Nobody else is quoted in this entire town but one person. You really need to do something to get the word out about what this governing body has been doing, because as I said, I've been attending council meetings for 20 years, and no governing body has done what this one has done. And that includes all of you. You too, Mr. Kadish. And I'll say you as well, even though you've only been here a few months. You've got to start getting the word out somehow, because the press isn't doing it. And we know there are those who want to bring our town down week after week after week after week. And we're a pretty darn good town, and we have a darn good government since we had the government change. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Okay, seeing that there is nobody coming forward, can I have a motion to close the meeting? Move to public comments?
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Rizzuto, second by Councilmember Kadish. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, at this time, We have a presentation from the Environmental Commission. Can Ms. Beverly Buds and the Environmental Commission come forward with their presentation?
Ready? Good evening. Vernon. The name alone means tree grove. And how fitting for a town that prides itself on being a clean and green community with a diverse ecosystem. Vernon is a pristine area consisting of over 70% preserved land by way of state and federal law. Our township is in the Highlands Preservation Area and is home to many threatened and endangered species. Vernon sits atop the largest pure water underground aquifer in the state of New Jersey and contributes greatly to the quality of air and clean water throughout the Garden State. We are such a fortunate community. We are connected to Wawayanda State Park, which is considered to be the natural rainforest of northern New Jersey. We have an incredible selection of plant life, 1,156 species of native plants call Vernon home. From the mighty oak to the protected creeping ground pine, you can find it here. Vernon is a community where people choose to live because they enjoy the natural environment, and thousands of visitors come here to reconnect with nature. Our town is a place where one's spirit can be revived, whether you are hiking the Appalachian Trail or skiing down a mountain at 40 miles an hour. We have it all. Breathtaking views and spectacular foliage. Our town has an abundance of them. Whatever the season, Vernon provides an eye full of beauty that can't help but make you proud that you live here. Vernon is approximately 71 square miles in size, 68 square miles of land by almost 3 miles of water. Everyone in Vernon plays a part in the stewardship of our beautiful ecosystem. It is imperative that we continue to nurture and embrace it. Yet, our beautiful profile has an ugly black eye, and an area that was once vital and attractive now lies bruised, battered, and abandoned. And its name is Camp Sussex. Once a thriving historic summer retreat, Camp Sussex was a place where young minds were nurtured and encouraged to grow. As youngsters, Mel Brooks and other Hollywood celebrities enjoyed their summers in the natural beauty of Vernon Township. But now, this once wonderful camp has become an embarrassment to Vernon, an eyesore that has been allowed to deteriorate and lose the sparkle it once brought to thousands of children's eyes. Unfortunately, Camp Sussex has also become a place that enables Vernon's youth to engage in dangerous and sometimes even deadly behavior. Drug overdose has been responsible for over 125,000 deaths in the U.S. in the last decade, and new drug experimentation is on the rise. Sinister activity is always higher in an area where there is an easy place to engage in it. And by doing nothing, we unfortunately have been providing the perfect hideaway for such goings-ons. As we ask our youth to clean up their act, we must in turn assume long overdue responsibility and clean up ours. Allowing the Camp Sussex property to remain the scourge of our town goes against what we here in Vernon Township stand for as a community. Now is the time to take action. What can we do? We, the Vernon Environmental Commission, believe Vernon can bring the light and the life back to the Camp Sussex property. As you are aware, Vernon Township is again the recipient of another no net loss grant, a grant bestowed upon Vernon by the Department of Environmental Protection, Divisions of Parks and Forestry. In 2011, Vernon suffered a terrible loss of its natural resources and vegetation. Approximately 53,000 trees and plants were ripped from our landscape to make way for the Tennessee Gas Pipeline Upgrade Project. The Vernon Environmental Commission, the North Jersey Pipeline Walkers, and our distinguished Mayor Vic Marotta fought very hard for restitution for our town. We were heard loud and clear. The new grant amount is is $354,960, and it is to be used to reforest Vernon Township. The first grant was in the amount of $32,000. With that grant money, we planted red maples, white and black birch, weeping cherries, 3 varieties of dogwoods, cherry blossoms, Japanese maples, and Norwegian spruces. These new trees can be seen and enjoyed by all. Every school in town received new trees, along with the municipal building property, the Dorothy Henry Library, Maple Grange, and the community garden, which will be receiving more trees from this new grant. But something is still missing from our landscape. Vernon has lost an old friend, and its name is the American chestnut. The tree once stood in large numbers throughout our diverse landscape. In the early 1920s, a blight fungus, a kind of tree cancer, started killing off these mighty giants one by one. And unfortunately, it finally caught up with us here in Vernon some 70 years ago. Presently, the species is all but extinct, and there are none that I know of in Vernon Township. The Environmental Commission has communicated with the American Chestnut Foundation, since they have been working with the development of the 1.0 restoration chestnut tree with great success. The creation and propagation of a blight-resistant strain of the American chestnut tree by this foundation is a huge success story, one we all can be proud of. Your Vernon Environmental Commission believes now is the time to take aggressive, innovative initiative to protect our town while restoring a majestic giant back to its roots. For years, Camp Sussex has plagued Vernon with its negative overtones, putting a black eye on our beautiful profile. The Vernon Environmental Commission has in place a well-established progressive plan which will allow Vernon to acquire the camp, benefiting all that call this town our home. And owning the camp property will afford Vernon residents a place where all can experience and enjoy not only a brand-new virgin forest of well over 1,000 new trees, but the array of natural wonder and beauty that already exists on the property. There are at least 14 endangered animal and bird species living on the Camp Sussex property, along with numerous precious medicinal herbs and vegetation just waiting to be unveiled. We have an opportunity to erase the negative persona of the camp and reinforce a positive, healthy atmosphere for all to enjoy, especially our youth. This project will show all that there is value in everything in life, but more importantly, that quitting is never the right option. The camp was created to nurture young lives. We have a chance to revive that purpose while serving the needs of our entire community. We shall recreate the legacy of the camp, this time with a beautiful park-like setting where families can relax, enjoy, and celebrate all the beauty nature has to offer. It is never the wrong time to do the right thing. Now is the time to do the right thing. The birth of the great American chestnut forest at Camp Sussex is the right thing for Vernon. Your Vernon Environmental Commission is recommending the Town Council move to acquire the Camp Sussex property by way of open space funds to create the new great American chestnut forest at Camp Sussex. This will provide a place for all to come and marvel, to actively commune with nature. A place we can all be proud of, a place for all of Vernon's people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, would that come forward a few moments and just talk a little bit about that black eye and what gave impetus to the Environmental Commission?
Absolutely. I was asked to come to speak tonight about Camp Sussex in particular and some of the issues we've been dealing with and the problems it presents. I certainly can remember when it was doing what it was designed to do, and there'd be the city kids coming up in the summertime and enjoying the area and the lake, and we all know that that fell apart many years ago. And it's been a constant spiral downward since then. Negotiations and talking to the property owners about what they can do to help secure it, but based on the number of buildings, based on the fact that it's private property, which severely limits what we can do as far as routine patrols through it, it's definitely an attractive nuisance. There's no other way to describe it other than it's an attractive nuisance. It's close enough to a couple of the lake communities that the kids can certainly get there, and even if officers are called because somebody sees some kids in there, I don't know if there's 30, 40 buildings in there. There's no way the officers would find kids in there on foot. They would just hide in one of the buildings and they'd be all night looking for them. So it's definitely an issue that needs to be addressed. It's something that, I would certainly think that a forest or passive recreation or something, the fact that it would become town property, at least it would be easier for us to patrol it on a regular basis. Any questions?
Do we have, I agree with you. I've been in favor of purchasing that property since day one, and they'll tell you, one of the problems is the dam. Right, Mr. Mayor? We don't,
In terms of, you mean,
or as the town would have to take over another dam.
yes, we would. There's no question if we buy the land. There's 15 acres of lake that comes with it, and the dam would be on the property that we buy.
Yeah. The lake is beautiful. I mean, it's,
But that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah. Yeah. I can tell you that we've had our engineer take a look at it. It's not in imminent danger of needing any major repairs at the present time. And the other part, of course, as you all know, because as we move through every one of the lake communities, whether the township owns it or whether a lake community owns the dam, we always end up having to guarantee the loan anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just part of the characteristics of our community. As you heard Beverly say, we have 3 square miles of water in this township.
Prior to the last discussion, during the last discussion that we had regarding the possibility of purchase of Camp Sussex, I took the time to walk through it and look at a number of the buildings, and they certainly do. They certainly have and are an attractive nuisance. Looking on the floor and seeing what's happened there, it's a terrible situation, one that I don't know how you can monitor. Even asking somebody who, a private realtor, to try and market that piece of property, and they have been actively trying, becomes very difficult because no matter what they do, they can't keep people out of there, and its value keeps deteriorating in terms of the amount of damage that's been done. So I think it's certainly a project worth considering, and certainly we should, carry forward discussion on it and see if, in fact, it's the benefits, can be commensurate with the cost that the township would assume.
What are some of the routine problems that you run into with,
Criminal mischief.
okay, what type of criminal mischief are we
Well,
talking?
it started with the breaking out the windows, and although I don't think there's a whole lot of windows left at this point. Just trespassing in general. Obviously, it's a place where kids, if they want to drink or they want to do drugs, they can go hide back there. It's so secluded off the road that they're, even though they blocked off the real entrances, kids with their trucks and whatnot could go around. They could go back behind some of those buildings, and nobody would even know they're there. The officers driving down 565 certainly wouldn't. So, yeah, certainly the criminal mischief, that's something we've been dealing with almost since it stopped being a functioning park. And it's just, it's the broken windows theory, whereas once you have one building with a broken window, next thing you know, it seems like it's okay. And that's the situation you're in. I mean, if you were to drive through there, you wouldn't think you're in Vernon. I mean, it's like you're in a ghost town.
Okay.
And this was actually an item I spoke about last year, and a question I had is that we had liens, I guess it was from the fire marshal on it. I don't
All lien, if I may, and I don't want to, if we can, I would like to address that. But if you don't mind, can we finish with the chief, and then I'll...
Questions for me?
Okay. If that's the case, thank you, chief.
Thank you.
The property is now owned by the company that held the tax certificates. You will recall that back in 2012, when we discussed this, The idea was that the township might be able to in fact purchase the land for the cost of the tax certificates. At that point in time, there were a lot of questions that were raised, and to be frank with you, I wasn't sure that we really had identified as a governing body or a community, if we did buy this land, exactly what we were going to do with it. The impetus for tonight's presentation actually originated with the Environmental Commission and the no net loss grant that we have received through the effort of our Environmental Commission. The issue of the liens, the type of foreclosure that was pursued by the owners of the tax certificates wiped out all liens, including the federal IRS liens against it, as well as our own. There are no liens. The property can be transferred to Vernon Township free and clear of any encumbrances whatsoever.
And their taxes are now paid up to date, because aren't there taxes somewhere around, I mean, they were...
Frankly, there is a quarter that's coming due. As a matter of fact, it would have come due May 1st. And their hope, of course, was that the council would see fit to at least make some kind of a contractual sales contract or agreement or whatever that would preclude the need to do that. If they do pay the taxes, they've been keeping them current. If they do pay the taxes, it just makes the price go up, because then we're going to have to add it to the price.
Right, but the town would be responsible in removing all the buildings.
Absolutely.
And I'm not sure, I had heard that there may be a certain amount of asbestos in those buildings. Don't know if that's true.
No asbestos inside the buildings, Councilwoman. However, there's a question as to whether or not the siding on the cabins is the old-fashioned asbestos type. We haven't had a test done yet, but to be frank with you, I've had two opinions given, one saying, yeah, they're asbestos, and the other saying no. In a conversation with our engineer, disposing of that kind of asbestos is not a major expense. It just has to be done in a certain way.
Right, plus there are a couple underground oil tanks.
Yep. We're going to have to deal with all of those things,
Right.
absolutely.
And another issue would be with the other communities having access to that lake.
I'm sorry.
With the other communities having access to the lake, you have Lake Glenwood and Glen Harbor.
Yep.
They have beaches on that lake. How would that impact their areas? I mean,
Well,
it might be a positive for them.
It may be a positive. I remember from the public hearing that we had, there was more, it seemed to me that there was more interest in, okay, if you get the land, what are you going to do with it? I think everyone that lives in that neighborhood realizes that for their children and their teenagers, it's a problem. So in terms of what will happen with the lake part of it, that's yet to be determined. I know that the idea was being kicked around of swimming and all those sort of things. I don't have the feeling from my conversations with the Environmental Commission that they're about to recommend that to the council. It's and I'll let them speak for themselves, but it's my impression from the conversations with them that exactly what Mrs. Buds presented is what they have in mind, a grove where we can in fact propagate and reintroduce the great American chestnut tree and have a place where people who want to have passive recreation, whether it be reading, walking, sitting, picnicking, whatever it may be.
No, it sounds like a great plan, but I would just think on the town's part, before going into any contract and making any offers, we would have to investigate what the cost would be for the township to remove everything.
Well, we have a fairly good idea at this point in time. You may recall that 2 years ago, I was directed by the town council to in fact investigate it, and those figures are available. The real question is, are you talking about removing everything? What are you talking about? And so those numbers are on a sliding scale. The high figure that we had to remove all of the buildings was somewhere in the area of $300,000. The low figure is way below $100,000. So it all depends on what kind of a plan is developed and how we go about implementing
Does this also include the property across the street?
Yeah.
Well, they want to sell the property across the street, but my understanding at this point in time is that we have expressed to them that the only way that we'll take it is if they throw it into the deal. We're
Right.
really not interested.
Is this property in the Highlands?
Yes. Yeah, part of it's in the preservation and part of it's in the planning. The part that's in the preservation is the section that Councilman Wetzel was just referring to, the 11 acres on the side of the road where the old houses are. That would be the north side of 565. Most of the rest of the camp is in the planning zone. But as you will recall from the last work session that we had with our planner, there's very little difference between the two and what you can do with the land. Because what's happening is the Highlands is applying the same test of septic, what's the word I'm looking for? The injection of phosphates into the ground from a septic system. The same test is being used in the planning area as in the preservation area, with a maximum of 10 micrograms, I believe it was, per liter. And they're looking to move it down to 2, if I remember right, Dan. I know that you were...
I don't remember that being that low, but yes.
Yeah, and 2 might not be the right number, but the point of the matter is, if I remember the answer to that question, at 10 micrograms per liter, that would mean that you'd need 25 acres to put a house on. I think that was give or take. So, yeah, it is. It is. And that's part of, I think, there are a lot of reasons why this piece of property didn't sell. If you talk to Mr. Paul, the realtor who had it, I can tell you that in the time I've been the mayor, that property has been shown to so many camping groups and the like. The cost to put that camp back to a situation where they could take youngsters in and meet all of the health requirements, meet all the fire requirements, meet all the septic requirements, runs to somewhere around $5 million, because the water system for that camp draws the water from Lake Glenwood. Can't do that anymore. The septic systems for the bathhouses were built so long ago that I don't think anybody really knows exactly how they function. So new septics would be required. Fire, all the other things that would be required just made it economically not feasible to turn it back into, well, I shouldn't say not feasible, not attractive to turn it back into the kind of camp that it was.
Who owns the tax liens? Do you-
Well, there are none.
Yeah.
Well, who owns it now?
What's the name of the
Who bought-
corporation? TMR, is it? TMR Incorporated. And they buy, that company, by the way, is a company that buys a lot of our tax certificates. And they tend to, in the past, they have tended to be there buying the certificates on some of the largest taxpayers who haven't paid, which is, as you know, is important to our cash flow and our ability to continue to meet our commitment.
Well, I think I said it before, they made a bad investment here. I mean, they own it, but it's just, I would hate, like I said, it sounds like a really nice project to do. It would be great for the town to clean that area up, but it would still have to be investigated so it doesn't fall on the shoulders of the taxpayers.
Well, part of it will.
Yeah.
Absolutely, part of it will. I don't want you to think for one second that there's this grandiose plan. We have open space money. We have the prospect of a Green Acres grant, which will pay 25% of the acquisition cost. There is the demolition, and then the issue of, okay, what are we going to do with it? We're going to plant trees on it. We have the cost of that. But once that happens, we're going to, as a community, have to look at security. We're going to have to look at maintenance, all the other things that we do with all the property that we own. So if anyone's sitting up there thinking that, you know, the idea here is that this is a gimme and it's not going to cost anybody any money, not so. Not so. The issue isn't, does it fall on the taxpayers, in my mind. The issue is, can we afford to do it without driving our tax rate up? And that, I would say to you, we can do.
What do you know offhand what they have into that property from what they've paid?
I do, but to be frank with you, at this point in time, it becomes a matter of negotiation. I'd rather not discuss it publicly. I'll be happy to tell the council in an executive session. It's a contractual negotiation, and I have to respect the privacy of the people involved.
Oh.
I would like to see a plan, a proposal as to what all the costs would be and what all the problems are that we would have to solve.
That's, I think, a reasonable suggestion. I guess the question I would ask back to you is, at what point in time would you say, yeah, I support it? What dollar figure?
Without a plan, I can't tell you.
Oh, you could tell me. You have a number in mind. But that's all right. I'll be more than happy to give the council whatever they're looking for if there is an interest in having this done.
And
I
I
think
don't,
we need to approach a project like this, Mayor, with a vision.
Yep.
To, just to say what it's going to be, it becomes something you can't figure out.
I understand.
But I think if you close your eyes and in your own mind, and I think since we do have the responsibility for the community in this regard, I think we need to approach it with a vision.
Yep.
And the comment was made of passive recreation. I've addressed this before, that there are we have a lot of sites within the community for active recreation, ball fields for our youth, but maybe it's time we begin to looking at something like this for certain areas of the community where there is no bathing. Maybe that's not even the question. Maybe it's just an area for picnicking or sitting under a grove, reading and closing your eyes and looking at that and seeing what your end point is to be and how much that would be worth to the town. So, I think certainly putting our heads together with our Environmental Commission and yourself.
They've already taken the lead on this project, and I'm sure that they would enthusiastically embrace what you're asking for. But I think that I want to caution the council, because I've been through enough governmental meetings where these kinds of questions get raised. In the scale of decision-making, let us not lose sight of the fact that Camp Sussex now serves as a place for behavior that we are attempting to stamp out, that we as a community have stood up and loudly protested. And I have been through many, many meetings with this board since I've been the mayor, where people have come forward to say, what are you doing about drug addiction? What are you doing about these situations? I'm not saying that Camp Sussex will make it all go away, but it certainly will take one of the places where it's being done away.
It happens.
That's the key. It happens there a lot. Those pictures of the hypodermic needles that you saw came from Camp Sussex. And if you haven't done it yet, I would recommend to you that you walk up into the camp and you take a look into what was the gymnasium and see that in the wintertime, it's a place where youngsters build bonfires in the middle of the building with mattresses that are stained and hypodermic needles and all the remnants of behavior that we don't want to encourage. Now, is that the only reason to do it? No. But I think that all of the things coming together here, coming together in a way, okay, that is not going to drive the tax rate beyond what our people can support. As I think Bev said so clearly, there is never a bad time to do the right thing.
Absolutely.
And that's true, but do they have any other buyers right now? So
I don't know.
If Vernon Township is the only buyer.
I'm certainly not in the habit of negotiating based upon, well, geez, do you have another buyer?
Well, that's the way the market is.
That's correct. That's as you well know.
Any other questions?
Can we set a timeline on this,
We
Council
need to.
President?
The longer we wait, the higher the price goes, because every quarter that they pay the taxes,
Yep.
which is close to $100,000, gentlemen and madam, if we decide to do it, the longer we wait, the more it's going to cost.
What time frame do you want to put on it?
Well, I can certainly be back with the information you're asking for by the next meeting, which is in 2 weeks. Now, I know that you've got a full
Thursday?
agenda for that meeting, but maybe you could consider it at the meeting of the 9th.
I think that the June 9th meeting would be a great idea.
Okay. Again, it's a lot of work. It's being done by our Environmental Commission. They've done a great job up till now, and I expect that they would continue to do so. Okay.
Can I ask to speak one more time?
Go right ahead.
I have a full vision of this project already laid out, and I would be happy to forward it to you for review. We have a way, we have already planned out a way that this camp can somewhat be self-sufficient between volunteers and different events that we could have that would require no resources, that we could make, it would help make money for the camp. We have a community garden. There's an area there where we could have a farmer's market where the community could grow and get vegetables. There's part of the there's 90 acres there, 95 acres. Part of it is not going to be forest, it'll be an open field where there's 800 alumni of people that used to go to Camp Sussex. They're very interested in the camp. There are ways to help that camp be self-sufficient. Very creative people that have been working with this. We wouldn't just come up and say we want the camp. There's already a whole idea laid out of what it can be, and it's very cost-effective.
I'm sure you have a lot of great ideas for making the camp operable once it gets going. I think that the information that we need to make the decision is going to be coming from the mayor's office right now.
Okay.
So we appreciate all the effort that the Environmental Commission has done so far. I think the nuts and bolts of it is in the hands of the mayor at this point, and the information that we get from him will be the basis for our decision, I believe.
Fair enough.
We'll continue to work together.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Beverly. Being no other further business on this one, I'd like to move to the mayor's report.
Okay, I'll make it really brief. I distributed to you earlier this evening the monthly report of revenues and expenditures. I'd like to call to your attention that tax collection is right on target. However, other revenues, such as fees and the like, are down. I think it's, upon analysis, a result of the brutal winter that we had, because it didn't drop off just in the last month. But nonetheless, we're going to monitor that very closely. Expenditures are right on target. We're right where we should be at this time of the year, and I believe that our budget will serve us well. And when you take a look at the numbers, if you'd like, I'll be more than happy to discuss it with you. Secondly, as you know, on May 1st, we launched Shop Vernon. I've got some exciting, I think exciting news anyway, to share with you. In the first 10 days of Shop Vernon property tax card, 500 families have signed up for their Shop Vernon card. We have had 3 new merchants already join, and this afternoon before I left, there was another merchant actually a contractor, who was finding out how to become part. When you think about it, in 10 days to have that kind of response. In talking with Mr. DeFalco this afternoon, he was absolutely amazed. The other 7 communities that have started their program did not have as fast a take as we've had. So I want to tip my hat to the Economic Development Advisory Committee. The work that they have done has obviously had a tremendous impact, a very positive start, and I'd like to keep the momentum going. So, as you gentlemen played a very big part of it, and madam, a very big part of it in approving the budget. As you know, the EDAC budget this year was $13,000, and a major part of that budget has gone to the mailing of the 8,000 cards that were sent out initially. We're still actually in the process. The last 1,000 are planning will be going out tomorrow. So for those people who haven't received them yet, if you don't receive them in the next 3 or 4 days, then I would suggest to you that we have a problem with your address, because one of the things that we know, and it happens even with tax bills, we've received about 350 to 400 letters with the card back for wrong address. And we get that when we get it with the taxes also. So what we've done is, we've taken those and we've put them in alphabetical order. They're in my office, and if somebody comes in and says, I didn't get mine, Mrs. Mills asks for their name and address, and lo and behold, oh, and by the way, what is your proper address? So we're attempting to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. It's been a great take, and the dollars and cents of it, I didn't get the numbers today from Mr. DeFalco, but in the first 2 days, it resulted in over $1,400 in local sales and generated about 7.5% of that figure. So, in tax reduction for people. I'm excited about it. The next thing I want to share with you, I'm going to keep brief and succinct because we have a situation where the radios that we received through the FEMA grant, there's a question about the specifications of them. We are presently running the situation down, and I will have more to report to you. It's a contractual matter more than anything else. But I wanted to make you aware of it, because as we go through our investigation, you're liable to hear about it, and I don't want you to be in a situation where you're saying, well, what's that about? What it's about is the radios work fine, the radios are state-of-the-art. The issue is whether or not they meet exactly what FEMA was looking for, and we're working on that at the present time. So no reason to, at this point, no reason to panic, but I wanted you to be aware of it. As we go forward, I would suggest to you that if anything comes of it by way of either contract or otherwise, then we would have to discuss it in an executive session. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as far as the Camp Sussex, June 9th, if you can
We'll be
move
ready.
forward and maybe,
Not only will I be ready with the numbers, I know that the Environmental Commission will have some of the things that Mr. Kadish wants to see. I think it's important, too. I wasn't disagreeing, you know. And there is, I knew that there was a vision, but it frankly wasn't my place to speak for the Environmental Commission. They've done such a great job at it, I really would like to see them
I'm
speak for
happy that there's a
themselves.
plan, no doubt. Okay, the minutes of the April 14th, 2014 meeting, can I have a motion to approve these minutes?
Move to approve.
Motion made by Councilmember Kadish, can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Rizzuto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Kadish?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes.
Council President Lynch?
Yes.
Motion carries to approve minutes.
For the consent agenda, Resolution 1471, resolution approving the corrective action plan. Each year after the municipal audit has been submitted, the chief financial officer must create and request approval for a corrective action plan in response to the township's audit recommendations. This year, the township only had one recommendation. This resolution approves the corrective action plan created by the CFO in response to the 2013 audit. Resolution 1472, resolution authorizing solicitor's permit. Chapter 428 of the Township Code requires that when a solicitor initially requests a solicitor's permit, it must submit to a background check through the township's police department, and a resolution must be passed by the governing body approving their permit. This resolution approves a solicitor's permit for Power Home Remodeling Group to solicit free estimates for home repairs. This permit does not give Power Home Remodeling the authority to solicit in private communities or associations without the express consent of those communities. Resolution 1473, resolution authorizing the application to the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety for a seatbelt enforcement program, Click It or Ticket. The Click It or Ticket grant provides the township with a grant of up to $4,000 to pay for up to 80 hours of police overtime during the weeks of May 19th through June 1st as police mobilize to encourage seatbelt use. This resolution authorizes the township to make an application for Click It or Ticket grant funds. Resolution 1474, a resolution to join the Middlesex Regional Educational Services Commission cooperative pricing system. Vernon has been a member of the Middlesex Co-op for the past year. The Middlesex Co-op provides leverage for the municipality in joining together with other municipalities to purchase goods and services in bulk at a discounted rate to benefit of the township. There is no cost to the township of Vernon to join the co-op. This resolution authorizes Vernon again to rejoin the co-op. Resolution 1475, a resolution endorsing the submission of the 2013 recycling tonnage grant application to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. This resolution memorializes the township's commitment to recycling and intent to adhere to the rules promulgated by the NJDEP. This resolution further authorizes the township to apply for a grant to offset the cost of the equipment, trucks, and items related to recycling. The amount of the funds received by the township will be based on the amount of the material the township recycles. Resolution 1476. A resolution authorizing the award of contract payment of court fees by credit card. Vernon Township Court currently cannot accept credit card payments from persons wishing to pay their fines. This often results in persons having to apply for payment plans in order to make restitution, which created a large accounts receivable balance for the court. This resolution authorizes the court to accept payment via credit card for fines, bail, and other fees, and for the township to acquire a credit card processing machine and establish an account to accept credit cards. Resolution 1477, a resolution endorsing a plan amendment to the Vernon Township Wastewater Management Plan and the Sussex County Water Quality Management Plan for a portion of the property known as Block 183, Lot 15 in the Township of Vernon. This resolution authorizes the owners of the property, more commonly known as the Kelly Farm, to go forward and make application to have the property included in the wastewater management system. This is not the final word on this issue. The property owners will also need approval from the Vernon MUA and be approved to be included in the Sussex County Wastewater Management Plan and receive approval from the Department of Environmental Protection. Resolution 1478, authorizing the award of a contract for drainage improvements to Upper Plateau and Murphy Court. As you may know, the road condition in the Upper Plateau and Murphy Court area deteriorated due to broken water, underwater storm drains, and retention basin problems. This Thursday, the township had a bid for the repair of the township's portion of this roadway. This resolution authorizes an award of contract to the lowest responsible bidder, Earth Tech. Can I have a motion to adopt?
President,
Yeah.
excuse me, please, I need to correct that last resolution.
Okay.
The township does not own any of these roadways. The roadway and the drainage system in these two roads are the result of the bankruptcy created by the Handler brothers. This subdivision is known as Whispering Woods.
Right.
Through the efforts of our attorney, Mr. Kevin Kelly, we were able to, in fact, confiscate and hold approximately, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, $170,000?
Little less.
A little less, thereabouts.
Right.
Everything else is right, but we don't own those roads. We are actually acting in our responsible capacity as the township to, in fact, see to it that the drainage and then the roads get taken care of and paid for out of that money. So it may not seem like a big thing, but it's important. I don't want the public record to say township roads. They're not.
I don't think I mentioned that we own it. I said it's the township's portion. We're responsible for it, though?
Well, we are because we confiscated the money.
Okay.
I just wanted to be sure that everyone understood.
All right. We don't own it, but we're going to do it anyway.
Well, no, we don't.
So are we bringing them up to standards?
We called the bond, we took the money, we need to make the repairs.
Right, but are we bringing them up to standards, and will they,
The drainage system will be brought up
Yeah.
to standards, and afterward, whatever money is left, there's not enough money left to pave all of those streets, okay? So our township engineer has been working very closely with the homeowners association there as to how they're going to go about using what's left. This particular, if I remember right, if you look at the resolution, I think the successful bid was 32 or 32,000. That leaves about 100,000 for finishing the paving, because, as you may know, base coat is all that's there.
Yeah.
How far that'll go depends on asphalt price and a whole lot of other things.
So-
There seems to be enough to do all of Upper Plateau, and we're trying to get past the driveways that are on the street that goes up. Whether or not we'll get there or not, Mrs. Murphy, remains to be seen yet. It'll be based on the bid.
okay, all right.
At that, go ahead, you started.
Yeah, no, I was just, so at some point, I guess, maybe in the future, I mean, so the town will never really take them over, will they?
Well, we can. If those roads are completed in the manner that the plan, if they're completed that way, they then would meet township specifications, and then the homeowners could make an application to the town to take them over.
Right, but it may only be one of the streets. Sounds,
Again,
depending, I guess, not until you figure out how much.
I'd love to give you a straight answer, but what it depends on is how much of the shortfall the homeowners are willing to come up with money-wise to finish the whole thing, so that they then can approach the township for the town to take it over.
Okay.
So at some point in the future, it could happen, but at this point, there's no date specific.
And who, do they have them plowed?
We plow them.
We plow them?
Yeah, they are a Kelly Bill community. And my first year as mayor, as we reviewed the entire Municipal Services Act, Mr. Pullis and also the people from Whispering Woods realized that it was frankly cheaper for us to plow and salt than it was to reimburse what they were getting charged. So, yeah, we do. And there are a couple of other communities where we do that. Instead of reimbursing them with money, we actually do it because it works well for our truck patterns.
Okay.
Now, on Resolution 1477.
Can I have a motion to adopt, and then we'll speak? Have a motion to adopt.
Well, I'd then like to amend the motion, whatever it's going to be, to exclude Resolution 1477 from the cluster.
Okay. Can I have a motion to adopt all except 1477?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Kadesh. Can I have a second? I'll second it. Please call the roll.
Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes.
President Lynch?
Yes.
Motion passes without resolution.
Okay, can we, question on 1477?
Yeah, the reason for this is what? Who can
The owner
explain
would
it?
like, the
In
owner,
other words, I'm questioning discharge above 2,000 gallons per day.
yeah,
Is that a benchmark?
yes, it's
Oh,
at the
okay.
point where the
So
legitimacy
in terms of the plan, we will find out exactly what the allotment would be after the plan is being submitted?
If I may, okay? One, that particular piece of property, for some reason unknown to me, long before any of us were here, was not included in the wastewater management plan. The present owner, as you well know, Ed Kelly, commonly known as Bud, has passed away, but his wife is still alive, and his son and daughter are interested in developing the property in parallel or conjunction, if you will, with the resort recreation industry there. They're interested in possibly, and I'm told in private conversations, in looking at either a hotel or some facility of that like. They can't do anything of any size on that property if the sewerage output is more than 2,000 gallons, because over 2,000 gallons is prohibited by the New Jersey DEP.
You're talking about septic?
Septic, yes. I'm sorry. Yes, I was. So that's why they want to be included in the wastewater management plan. They want to be able to hook up to sewer. They've got a long road ahead of them. It's not going to be an easy task. You may recall the very first 6 months we were all together, the New Jersey DEP was trying to cut our sewer area in half, our wastewater management plan in half here in Vernon. But by the town council agreeing that, they can go forward, it takes a roadblock out of the way, but I think they know that it's going to be a long, tough battle.
So this is allowing them to go into the sewer district?
No, this is allowing them to go forward with their application before the MUA, the County Wastewater Management Plan, and the New Jersey DEP.
So they have no idea
Whether they're going to succeed or not?
whether they'll have sewer, whether...
No, they don't, but this is the process that they have to follow.
Like I said, this is not the final word on this issue.
Exactly.
And who determines that, how much, like,
The final word is the New Jersey DEP.
right? And as far as what's left sewer-wise, I mean, is that the MUA? I mean, how much, like the allocations? I mean,
We got plenty of allocation, plenty.
It needs approval from the MUA too, and then it needs to go to
Approval from our MUA, the
DEP.
county MUA, it needs to be made part of the county wastewater management plan, and then if they succeed at all of that, then the New Jersey DEP reviews it and decides whether or not to include the piece of property in the wastewater management plan. So, just to answer your question, Councilwoman, we have, at the present time, we're using approximately 1/3 of the sewer capacity that we have. We have plenty.
are there any other properties looking to try to be included?
Can we
This
just
time.
talk about this resolution? We didn't adopt this one yet. If you want to talk about other ones, we'll talk about that at another time.
Are you hot?
No, not at all. Are you?
No.
Can I have a
So moved.
motion to adopt 1477? Thank you. Second?
Second.
Second made by Councilmember Rizzuto. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes.
Council President Lynch?
Yes. Thank you. An introduction for the first reading of a proposed ordinance. Ordinance 1407. An ordinance of the Township of Vernon in the County of Sussex, New Jersey, authorizing the purchase of various equipment and repairs in, by, and for the township pursuant to NJSA 4056-1 and appropriating therefore the sum of $240,000 and providing that such sum so appropriated shall be raised from the capital improvement fund of the township. This ordinance provides for an appropriation of $240,000 from the capital fund for equipment purchases and various repairs. These funds have already been appropriated for as part of the capital fund account in the 2014 budget. This ordinance does not expend the funds, but it merely makes them makes the appropriation. Can I have a motion to introduce ordinance 1407 with a public hearing to be held on June 9th, 2014?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Rizzuto. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Kadesh.
Mr. President, again, a correction. This money did not come from the 2014.
2013 budget, I'm sorry.
No problem, I just want to be sure. that it's
This
clear.
is from the 2013
That's right.
budget.
You will recall that we were not able to finish all of the projects that we had started. This money was appropriated in 2013 and remains until we finish the projects.
It's my typo.
So these are falling back onto the 2013 roads?
That's correct. Does not impact
The
the
2013 capital budget fund.
improvement fund at all.
And these are for paving of the roads?
Yeah, well, road.
Can I have a motion to adopt it, and then we'll talk about it?
Motion has been made.
Okay, can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I didn't mean to stop you.
No problem.
You have any other questions?
This is for paving? Because I noticed,
For
because you did
all
give me
road
that.
improvements. It
Okay.
will be storm drains, cross drains, asphalt curbing in those areas where it's needed, patching, oil and stone. It's to deal with the secondary and tertiary streets, and that's the plan that I showed you that day that we were together. That's the one. That's the one, exactly. The rest of the $50,000 that we need to finish our plan for 2014 is actually in the operating budget of 2014 under roads. That's where the money is coming from.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes.
Council President Lynch?
Yes. Ordinance 1408, an ordinance amending Chapter 94 of the Administrative Code of the Township of Vernon, the Division of Police. The ordinance changes the wording in Chapter 94 of the Administrative Code consistent with the change to this form of government. Can I have a motion to introduce 1408 with a public hearing to be held on May 29, 2014?
Move.
Motion made by Councilmember Rizzuto. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Wetzel. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kadesh?
Yes.
Councilmember Murphy?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizzuto?
Yes.
Councilmember Wetzel?
Yes.
Council President Lynch?
Yes.
Motion carries to introduce continuation of hearing on the
Okay, I'm going to go out of turn, and I'm going to speak first on the council remarks. During the week, I've had a lot of phone calls about, are we going to say a prayer at this meeting, or are we going to have a moment of silence? And as you can tell by my comment in the paper, that it wouldn't hurt Vernon to have a moment of silence once in a while. I spoke very privately to lots of people, and I have to say my opinion about this subject. It'd never hurt to have a moment of silence or a moment of silent reflection. I don't want to start, quoting chapter and verse the Bible here. I don't think, or the Quran, or any other holy book for any religion, anywhere. I think that my view right now is that when the time comes and we need to have a moment of silence, we will have a moment of silence. We mention God at every meeting, in the beginning of every meeting anyway, during the Pledge of Allegiance. And I think that religion and being faithful are two different things, and I also think that it's a private thing. So at this point, if the council doesn't mind, I would like to save moments of silence and moments of reflection during a time of need instead of a time of convenience for a newspaper article in the paper. I'm certainly open to hear suggestions from the council.
I'm silent on the matter.
That's a good thing.
I like it. That was good.
What did you say?
So silent that Dick didn't hear you, so you...
Silent majority, because they don't know anything.
So if the council's okay with that, will we agree that's the way we'll go?
Could I,
Yes.
fine with me. Could I add one thing? please?
You're quiet all other times, Kevin, now all of a sudden.
Well, sometimes.
Go right ahead.
No, I just want to make it clear to everybody that when the Supreme Court in the past week changed the law with respect to prayer at public meetings, they emphasized that, for reasons we don't need to get into, they did emphasize that it should take place at the beginning of the meeting before the substantive part of the meeting takes place. Now, why they did that, if someone wants to know, I can explain. But-
It
So-
happens
so
at
it
every
would be-
meeting, though.
It would be in the beginning that you would need to do it.
Right.
Okay, that's all.
Every meeting that we have with the fire department, we have a moment of silence for departed members, right after the salute to the flag. So, at this point, we're okay. So, is the council in agreement we'll do it along that fashion?
Yes.
5-0, we agree.
That's better than the Supreme Court.
Okay, so
Yes, we'll see.
we are going to agree to have a moment of silence when need be. Councilmember Rizzuto.
Yes, thank you. At our April 14th meeting, Councilman Kadish brought up the mention of Narcan and including it within our police and EMT. I thank him for it, and I did a little research on it. Narcan is not new. It's, as I said, it's another name for a drug called naloxone hydrochloride, which has been around for a while. It's a narcotic antagonist. Essentially what it does is it counteracts the effects of an opiate. And there are a number of routes of administration for this type of medication, which is why you run into the problem, the necessity of training. It's either IV, IM, subcutaneous. And I think the reason why it's kind of been brought forward now is because it's also available in a nasal spray method of application. It's not an inexpensive drug, but I don't think anyone questions the need for, or the the concern about expense in terms of saving life, I think what we are running into is that there are only a few states, 17 out of the union, that are currently allowing EMT people and I believe police to use this. The governor is working to have a bill passed for a waiver. It's the Opiate Antidote and Overdose Prevention Act, which has still not been passed. And until such time, I think perhaps our mayor can shed some light on this.
Actually, after
Many
Mr. Kadish's
work on it.
comments, I had several conversations with Chief Mills. My understanding of the situation is, in fact, that New Jersey has passed a law allowing first responders to use Narcan, but the missing piece is what you just referred to, Mr. Rizzuto, and that is the question of liability. It's our feeling at the present time, that the initiative for the institution of the use of Narcan by our first responders, and by the way, in 99 and 44/100% of the time, our first responders are our police officers. They're the first on the scene. All medical and accidents, they're the first to go. And so it's our feeling, after quite a bit of discussion and investigation, that if an initiative of this nature should become part and parcel of the responsibility of our police and EMTs, it should, in fact, be initiated and originate from the top law officer in the county, which is the prosecutor. And we are presently waiting for some direction. And the reason for it relates to the issue of liability. And, of course, if, in fact, the legislation is passed to remove any liability from our first responders in the sense of a Good Samaritan-type act, I can assure you that we will quickly implement the training necessary and provide in our police cars and our ambulances the necessary dosage form for a potential overdose. But at the present time, I hesitate to do that simply because we don't have the backup, the liability backup.
Certainly, I would be pleased to support any initiative brought forth by Mr. Kadish in terms of this once we're able to. On a personal note, I want to provide stately great thanks to our local police, to our police department, and the Glenwood Ambulance Squad. Earlier this past week, my wife was involved in a fall at home, which resulted in a broken elbow, I guess, or broken arm, if you want to call it that. It required assistance from our police department and from our ambulance squad in Pochuck, and they were right on the job and right there, and it's amazing how fast they had her up onto the gurney, out of the house, into the rig, and off to the hospital. And that was after I made a few calls to see if I could do it myself, but I was wisely talked out of it, so. But, again, as I said, I want to express my sincere thanks to our police and ambulance squad for a job well done. Thank you.
Pat tried to treat it like a backyard project.
Yeah. Broken arm.
Councilmember Murphy?
The only thing I have is, about a month ago, I asked for the asset report for the MUA assets that the township owns, and this is what we have on file, and it's really not legible. And I know that there was a chance that there was possibly another document being looked for, and I was just wondering if any...
It's been requested twice since your first request. I'll follow up this week again. You know, in fair balance, United Water is a big bureaucracy, but we'll follow up again.
All right, thank you. That's it.
Councilmember Kadish? You can be unsilent now.
I was going to be silent once again. But the state of Massachusetts, a statewide effort to supply all police officers with the Narcan, and their use is in an atomizer. It seems to be that that's so successful, we should have it available. Thank you.
Councilmember Wetzel.
Yeah, I've spoken to people on the Vernon rescue squads, and again, right now, first response people have contact with this, okay? And that would be the EMT people and the police, the first response. Okay? That's the way it stands right now. Secondly, I don't know if the mayor mentioned it, I didn't hear it, but we heard the lieutenant governor last week at Waterloo Village, and I was sort of chastising her about what she was going to do for Sussex County, and she alluded to the fact that Vernon just got a $200,000 DOT grant for Breakneck Road. I don't know if the mayor mentioned that or not, so she put me back in my place with the grant
That's
money.
great job, Dick.
We don't care how we do it, as long as we get the grant.
We used to have a grant.
Actually, I didn't mention it tonight, I apologize, but if you recall, I did mention it at the work session last Monday night, because I had just found out.
Oh, it got
Well,
me so-
it's worth repeating.
Absolutely, I'm glad you
It's worth
did, I
repeating.
forgot to do it. You know, I checked it off as one of those things I'd reported already.
All right. Also, I'd like to thank Missy for a wonderful, wonderful senior citizen luncheon. Food was great, the company was great, and outstanding
Dick.
time was had by all. Even Mr. Kadish was there with me. He was my partner. And lastly, I want to compliment Jessie, because what she said is public opinion around the county about the job that this mayor and council is doing, no matter where I go, because I don't live in downtown Vernon or anything like that. I'm on the outskirts, and I get into Franklin, into Sussex, Stockholm, etc. And the people are so appreciative of what's being done here in Vernon. And so, like I say, I'm very proud when I talk to these people and they say, holy crow, your taxes went down again. You know, what is that mayor doing? How does he do it? How does he do it? So, again, hats off.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion made by Councilmember Murphy, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night.